Anyway, okay, moving on. Twitter has a new feature which wants you to think again before you send a mean tweet. So the way this works is the algorithm or whatever sophisticated software running there is going to attempt to analyze your tweet as you click send in order to determine if it is mean. At which point, if it's mean using mean terms, whatever, at which point it will then suggest maybe you want to revise that. It'll say, are you sure you want to send this tweet? And so far, it has resulted in a number of people reconfiguring their tweets. The feature launched on Wednesday, and it has, when prompted, 34% of people have revised their initial reply or decided not to send it at all after getting the prompt. Now, is that those people in the goodness of their heart, or is that those people worried that they're going to get banned or suspended because they're getting this warning like, hey, you sure you want to send that?
Yeah, that didn't happen before, so they might be spooked.
Spooked, like, oh, damn, they're watching what I'm typing here. What the prompt says is, want to review this before tweeting? And then the user is presented with 3 choices: tweet, edit, or delete. After they were first prompted, users composed about 11% fewer offensive replies in the future.
Well, it's working. That's good.
And then they were less likely to receive offensive replies in return. Anyway, this is pretty well documented that things can get mean on social media, and people have strong feelings about this. Like, they should say whatever they want. And
sure.
But Twitter is a private company, and they rely on advertising revenue like all these social media platforms. And I know what people say, well, advertisers should want to advertise to everyone. Yeah, you're right. But often if people have a negative experience on social media, they may turn that social media off, and then they're no longer available to those advertisers, and therefore they're no longer a potential customer, and therefore they're no longer useful to the social media platform. Yeah. So a social media platform cares about one thing: keep those users there. Make them have a nice experience they come back to. Now, I don't know. That's a bit, I oversimplified it, because I'm sure some people love the hate. I'm sure the reason they're there every day is to indulge in mean tweets. So, but here you see 34% of people revise their tweets, which is something. But you could read it the other way and say 66% went through with it. 66% were like, no, I'm about to be mean right now, and that's my choice.
But the definition of mean, like, is criticism mean?
So here's how it works. They are looking at a couple of different factors. So it could be the terms that are being used that are commonly associated with, let's say, threats or name calling, things like this. And then they're also looking at who you're tweeting at and what their relationship is to you. So you can get away with more to, like, a friend of yours who you tweet with frequently, and maybe it's banter or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to keep tweaking this thing, right?
You don't want this to go down the road of eliminating criticism, because that should be fine. I mean, people should be allowed to criticize things. You can criticize and not.
Well, but
there's
different ways to do that, right? There's a way to say, hey, I don't really like what you did there. And then there's a way of saying, you whatever.
Yeah.
And arguably one of them's more effective if you're actually, like, it's hard to achieve much when you get to the level of just name calling and things like this. So, but look, don't act like Twitter cares about what's right and wrong here. Twitter's a company, and they have one goal. If people have a better experience, they're tracking probably alongside this experiment what it means for people's user behavior on the platform, and whether it might mean more time on the platform.
Yeah.
Vin feels like he wants to say something.
No, because I'm seeing they have AOC here as high-profile Twitter user.
Go ahead.
Regularly called on the company to do something about harassment. Coincidentally, she's been receiving a lot of criticism as of late.
Well, criticism, but that was around. I think what they're referencing there was around when they were inside the Capitol building,
Yeah.
and she was like trapped in a room or something.
That's my only thing. Like with politicians, I mean, I think you have. I think it's better served to have more, smaller
Well, it's not
users talking about this than like people with 12 million followers.
But here's the thing: it's not letting people send tweets.
Yeah, as long as they give them the option.
It's a suggestion.
To do so,
That's it.
to carry forward with a tweet.
66% of people that got the suggestion ignored it. It's a prompt. It's a prompt. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So it is not to the extent. But you're right. I mean, any type of manipulation around the discourse of people, who gets to control that? It depends on the way you perceive Twitter.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to, like, I came out here and says a private company. I can view it through the lens of a private company. And I can say, here's why you would make decision X, Y, Z. But then a lot of other people, they want to classify it as some sort of utility. They want to classify it as some sort of, that has in some way replaced the exchange of ideas in real life, that it is the new discourse, and therefore that it's a right. Like, this conversation happens. There's two sides to it, the way you perceive it, but it's traded on the stock market. Like, you can go communicate elsewhere. That's real. So,
yeah.
But it is definitely an important place, and certainly moves like this have to be attempted in a sort of soft way, suggestive way, which is what they've done here, in the form of a little prompt instead of denying the reply altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But it is fun. It is a funny thought to try to imagine what your classifications would look like for, that's a mean word, or that's a mean tweet, or whatever.
It's going to get to the point people are going to be putting up or posting their, what they've drafted, and then the response, and then why for this group is it that way? Another group that way, and everything.
Who's doing? Yeah, and then what happens if you eliminate people's ability to vent? What do they do with that energy? Where does it go?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Internally, it's up to us to think twice before doing anything. That this has to happen is already a bit of a red flag.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
Well, yeah. I mean,
obviously
people are a mess, right? People are pent up,
Sure,
and obviously.
Yeah, I personally don't see it as suppression, not yet. I think it's just more like awareness.
I know, but can suggestion eventually get to suppression? Because suggestion, I mean, that's how we live our lives, right? It's like, what is normal? When you have applications constantly finessing you into a way of communicating, and so making the suggestion, does eventually, it's like you go to a restaurant and they keep saying, you should try, what you should try is the rotisserie chicken at Subway. Remember Vin's whole thing? And maybe the first few times you resist it, but then on the 10th time, you're like, you know what? I'm going to try that rotisserie chicken. And then from that point forward, you're a rotisserie chicken guy.
There's a term for that in
converted.
sales. I forget what it is, but it's a strategy.
Of course it is. You
pressure
see,
sales
you
or
just, I'm just saying suggestion, persuasion, that's a very effective tool to, and I'm not going like, look, I can easily go on both sides because I get my own share of negativity, and I mean, not to the extent, definitely not to the extent of other people, but like just unnecessary mean tweets. Of course, I experience that, and I just keep it moving. But does it have to? You do.
But you would rather not have those.
Well, what it is
terrible comments. Right?
What it is like, first off, it's a ratio thing. Is it all the time, or what percentage of your experience is it? If let's say it was like 9 out of 10, am I still going to be as inclined to use the platform? 9 out of 10 comments are so anyway. Look, it's complex. There's no perfect situation. They're experimenting with this right now, And certainly other social media, they do ghost versions of these tactics, like Instagram hiding the like button or hiding the number of likes. Like they're all trying to figure out the psychology of how to keep you going and how to avoid whatever pitfalls exist that are causing people to leave the platform. So they're trying to be way ahead of that with a lot of these moves. Like
What did they know then?
even they know everything. Are you crazy? They know everything. What about YouTube asking you when YouTube puts up the thing and they go, "How did this make you feel, this video?" And it's like, did you find it to be entertaining or calming? Was it informative? What was it? And then managing what they think you need in your suggestions next time around. Because let's be honest, you're not picking it. I mean, shout out to everybody who picked to watch this video. But if it doesn't end up in front of you in the first place in the way you use the platform, well, you didn't watch the video. I mean, how many people are going looking for a video these days? No, you're at the you're sitting there waiting for the next suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a tough one. I just think
suggestion.
that,
Go ahead. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, go ahead.
at least there's an option there, at least for now.
Yeah,
It's not total suppression.
yeah. It really got me thinking. This when you use the word suggestion, it really got me thinking about,
Did I use that word?
or I don't know, maybe Vin did, the idea of, can suggestion or persuasion.
Well, it's the same. Wow. Suggestion is you're being suggested what's popular based on what everyone else is watching and what you've already previously watched.
No, and what the algorithm thinks you need right now, exclusively you, based on your set of experiences, where you shop, how you eat. I mean, when it comes to Google, is everything. Twitter probably doesn't have that type of data set, like that pool of information, but you can see where it goes. Like eventually the prediction can become so sophisticated that you making choices. See, this is where I'm going on it. If we all submit to the suggestions all the time because they're easier, because we choose convenience, then
yeah. Well, it's a lot less looking and clicking and
It's more automated.
Entirely.
yeah, like what I'm trying to say here is, you might find yourself eating food you don't even like just because there's 50 of them on your street.
Sure, yeah.
There's 50 suggestions on your street that are all big shiny signs, and the place you really want to eat is past those 50. And your human weakness along the path, you might get past like 7 or 8 of the 50, but you turn into the 10th because you're just like, God, I don't want to walk past all these. There must be a reason they're all so successful or being suggested to me. And next thing you know, you've convinced yourself that you've made the best choice. We're in the weeds, obviously. It's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of this. I mean, this is a difficult process, and we've gone so far out into what situation like this could lead to. But in the meantime, it's as simple as what's stated here. That is, they're going to try to smooth over the offensive tweets. That's all.